Retail, service workers of Reddit, what's the best instant karma you've seen happen to a rude customer? I work at an auto parts store. This one guy stole some $60 headlights and literally sprinted out the door. We went to look outside to try and get his license plate, just in time to see him speed off, hit a curb, and blow out his tire. Called the cops and the dumbass got arrested and had to have his car towed. I was really hoping you were going to look out the window and see him calmly changing them in the parking lot. Working the window at McDonald's late night, guy orders whatever and pulls up to the window. I'm cooking and handling the window, so I wasn't there when the customer pulled up. When I walked up to the window, I didn't see the fucker with trash in his lap. I opened the window to take his card, cash, and he throws a bag of trash at me. I take a step back, bothered that I just got trash thrown at me, and I watch his car speed off. I'm pissed, but there's nothing I can do. A couple seconds later I hear a small bang of metal on metal. I walk to the lobby and look out the windows. The douchebag slammed into a police cruiser who was about to loop around and use the drive-thru himself. Of course I also went to tell the officer what just happened inside. Standing at the counter of the pizza place I work at, lady storms in and slams a pizza down on the counter. "This isn't the fucking pizza I ordered. What the hell are you going to do about?" she asked. I look at the pizza, then at my buddy Nick, and turn back to her and say, "Nothing." She then goes on a long rant telling how we are going to be fired, how stupid and incompetent we were. She actually told me I must be retarded, then asked why the hell we weren't going to do anything. I said because that pizza came from the pizza shop across the street. I think she actually managed to shrink in size and slink out looking so pathetic and beaten I almost felt bad for laughing till tears dripped down my face as she slunk off. I worked for an online banking help desk, and this 18-years-old lad phoned up saying he had seen a transaction for £7 to alpay.net, and because he didn't recognize it, he decided the bank were robbing him of £7 and that I was in on it and I was a thieving little prick. Then he gets his dad on the phone, who stuck up for his shit of a son, saying I was a pathetic scumbag for stealing £7 off an 18-years-old boy, even though it was a debit card transaction and I simply worked in the department which helped people use online banking. But anyway, I phoned our debit card services to see if they could give any more information. And boy could they. I then had the pleasure of relaying back to this little shit's equally shitty father the following: "Hi sir, thanks for holding. I've checked with our debit card services team and I now understand why your son would not have recognized the payee alpay.net. That's a deliberately vague term used for discretion when the customer has subscribed to online pornography. That's what it was for. Your son has been paying for online pornography. Would you like to pop him back on the phone so I can tell him it's a payment for his pornography? Or will you pass on the information?" The father just muttered that the issue did not require any further investigation, thanked me for looking into it, and hung up. Guy comes in and is being a complete asshole, not wanting to show ID to buy beer even though he looked 20 at the oldest, constantly yelling and swearing. He also had parked in the handicap spot despite not having handicap tags or plates on his car. One of my regular customers, who is a sheriff's deputy, was also in the store, saw how the guy was acting, saw where he was parked, went out, got his ticket book, and wrote the guy a ticket. Guy realized he wasn't getting his beer, went outside to find he was getting ticketed. I could not stop laughing. This one makes me feel nice. I like when other customers rally to say fuck that guy, or, in this case, just write him a ticket. Smile. It's such a great feeling when you've been dealing with a shitty customer and the next customer that witnessed what happened just gives you that look. It's a look of understanding, like, that was some shit dude. I'm not that kind of customer. Helping a decent human being after dealing with a giant asshole is always such a relief. The next customer always got the best service I was capable of. I caught a late flight one night and wound up at the rental car thing. I had about a 2-hour drive to my destination and work to do the next day. I was also dressed for business, which I find helps enormously in these situations. The guy in front of me and his wife apparently had the biggest crisis of their lives in that line. I wasn't really clear on what was happening, but it seems like their reservation was lost, or they were dissatisfied, or something. It took a good 15 or 20 minutes before they stomped off in a huff and I made it to the desk. The lady at the counter and I shared a look of mutual exhaustion before I promptly gave her my name, license and credit card. After she processed the rental, she gave me the keys and said drive safely, with a clear undertone of don't get caught. I figured out what she meant when I got to the stall and found the brand new Mustang she had spontaneously upgraded me to. Little did she know, I drive like an old lady, but it's little gestures like that give me some hope for the world. Worked at a telecom in Canada. I am no longer an employee, thank God. Lady comes in with a broken iPhone, is demanding to get a new one for free. If you don't know, in Canada the iPhone 6s is going for about $400 up front on a 2-year contract at a minimum $80 plan. She had a good plan, but wanted it for free. She called up our loyalty team in store and spent the next 2 hours screaming at them. Finally, they agreed to a deal, and she is getting it for $0. She looks at me and goes, I do not want a case, and Apple Care is a scam. We work on commission, so this essentially meant I was getting nothing and ruining my numbers. She keeps telling me to hurry up through the setup and I was trying to get them out of the store with everything transferred over and set up. She grabs the phone and starts marching off saying I was a terrible employee. She gets 3 steps out of the store and drops the phone. Shattered screen, and white screen of death. She ran back in asking what I can do. I shrug and went sorry, but Apple Care sure would have helped. A warehouse worker here. Customers have to show a card to shop, and even though we're not technically a grocery store, we don't allow pets. One dude tried to power walk past the employee at the entrance door holding a big pit bull puppy on a leash. We stopped him and told him he couldn't bring his dog inside and he lost IT. He's our best customer and he's here 5 times a week and he owns stock. Blah, whatever. He demanded to know why we don't allow dogs. We explained how it's a food safety issue, especially with an untrained puppy. At this point our manager came over and just waved him through. BC no backbone. Customers always right. Well, not even 5 minutes later this dog squats in the middle of the main island peas, followed by poop. The man turned so red and dragged the dog towards the exit, abandoning his groceries. We stopped him and asked him nicely to please clean up after his pup. That's the reason we don't allow them, sir. Worked at Best Buy 10 or so years ago. This happened on Black Friday. Most of the customers were in bad mood since they'd been waiting hours to come in and stand in more lines, but this one lady was a raging bitch. After yelling at everyone in my department about how she needed the laptop that was on sale despite it being sold out, she proceeds to tell us she'll have the store closed down because she works with the city and knows the fire marshal and we have too many people in the store, so she calls him. We tell her to leave, and nothing happens to the store. However, we called them as well to report what she'd said, and she got fired from her job for abuse of power. I worked at a restaurant that was very popular for brunch and Mother's Day was probably our busiest day of the year. I had a customer call the evening before and asked for a table for 6 and he was incredibly rude when I informed him that this would simply be an impossibility. He kept getting more and more worked up, asking me to speak to my manager. At first I didn't want to pass the phone over. My manager wasn't the nicest guy and we were in the middle of a busy dinner shift, but my manager came up behind me and demanded to know why I had been on the phone for so long. I was like, fuck it, this customer isn't going to listen to me anyways, and gave the phone to Mac. Mac asked how he could help, listened for about 15 seconds before telling this dude something like, "So you're tying up my hostess in the middle of dinner even though she's already told you nicely that we can't fit you and your goddamn family in the night before our busiest day of the year? Fuck your buddy," and hung up the phone. I'm not sure if being a public defender counts as a retail or service worker, but considering that I provide criminal defense to indigent clients facing deprivation of their rights and freedom, I'll consider it service nonetheless. I was representing a scumbag client who was a massive meth head who got high and beat the hell out of her 8-year-old daughter with a belt after she accidentally broke mommy's meth pipe. She was charged with child cruelty and possession of meth, and, given her criminal record, the DA's plea offer was 3 years of prison. Needless to say, my client didn't want to go to prison for giving that cunt what she deserved and started freaking out at me when I told her that's the best offer I was going to get from the DA, and it was either accept that offer or go to trial. I further pointed out the mountain of evidence against her, primarily, the photographs of her daughter's injuries, the bloody belt that was recovered from her bedroom, the broken meth pipe W/meth residue in it, and the fact that her daughter was going to testify against her at trial. After she was done cursing me out, calling me a public pretender, and every other derogatory name she could think of, she fired me and somehow managed to hire a private attorney for the low price of $8,000. I still don't know how she managed to come up with that, but I have plenty of reliable guesses. The private attorney guaranteed her that he could win her case at trial, and that's exactly what she chose to do. Long story short, the private attorney clearly never even read this woman's file before trial. The trial lasted roughly 3 hours, the jury was literally out for only 5 minutes, and the judge sentenced her to 10 years of prison. It was a good day.